Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is another edition of Cottage Talk Full Media Buzz, the silly season Sunday update show. In this episode, I'll be speaking about Alexander Mitrovic, who is back for now, according to an article from Peter Russler, an article in regards to Tosin and and to end this episode, an article about Damarai Gray. So I'm going to be focusing on Mitro, Tosin, and Damarai Gray in this episode. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. All right, to get us going, I'm just going to share my quick thoughts on Fulham's match against Hoffenheim. And here's the situation. I did not watch the match, so it's not fair for me to give you an analysis on the match. I've only seen highlights. Fortunately, I was not able to watch it live. So to be fair, I'm not going to comment on this match except to say that I find it fascinating that the 2 goals scored by Fulham were from 2 signings. That's as far as I'm going to go. I like to actually watch a match to give you my thoughts on it. But the fact is that the 2 goals scored by Fulham were by new players. I think that's fantastic. As far as I'm going to go talking about that match, but it is a positive going into the beginning of the season off of a victory. But I will not analyze a match I did not watch. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's talk about the first story. I'm going to read it directly from Peter Rutzler's article in The Athletic, a very good article. And it is entitled, Alexander Mitrovic is back at Fulham for now. So I'm just going to share some excerpts from Peter's article, and then I'll share my thoughts on it. So this is directly from Peter's article. Alexander Mitrovic looked a little sheepish. After a summer in which headlines had spoken about a desire to leave Fulham, there was no guarantee of warmth upon his return to Craven Cottage, a stadium where he has been adored for the best part of 5.5 years. In the first 45 minutes of Fulham's final preseason match against Hoffenheim on Saturday, he was handed a bib and sent out to warm up. He jogged lightly behind the teammates in front of the Riverside stand, moving towards the Hammersmith end, which tends to be more vocal. There were only 7,280 people in Craven Cottage, but for most, this was their first encounter with Mitrovic since he set eyes on Saudi Arabia. There were a handful of boos. He raised his arm to the crowd in what felt almost like placation. A chant of Mitro, Mitro swelled. There was applause. He responded in turn. When he finally entered the field on 68 minutes as a substitute, the reaction was much more mixed. There was applause, but notable boos. The scars of these past few weeks are unlikely to be healed overnight. On the terraces, Fulham fans are often categorized as placid, but they pride loyalty as much as any other fan base. They have stood by Mitrovic, particularly in his most difficult moments. So the fact some feel perturbed by his open desire to depart is no surprise. Mitrovic wanted to leave for Saudi club Al Hilal, who made 2 bids worth £35 million and £40 million. Both were rejected, and while he still traveled with the squad to the U.S. for the club's preseason tour trip, he did not take part in full training. That was not received well in SW6. The context has changed a little now. However, unless Al Hilal returns with an improved offer, they will not be signing him. That is not to say a move cannot happen. Those close to the player, speaking on condition of anonymity to protect relationships, have still not ruled out a summer departure. But evidently, the dynamic has changed. There is no imminent exit door, and that has led to Mitrovic's return to full training and another appearance at Craven Cottage. Okay. So my thoughts on Mitro's return. Well, it's a good sign that he has trained with the club. Now he's actually played. So I have a feeling that Mitro will be involved in the Everton match. Things can change. Could he still be moved? Yes. But overall, he's a Fulham player. And if Fulham do not get their valuation, Mitro will continue to be a Fulham player. So I expect him to play. I expect him to be a professional here, and it sounds like he was in this match. And there will be boos from Mitro. There will be mixed feelings here. Absolutely, because of what has happened the last few weeks. But overall, he's a Fulham player, and that's a good thing. He's playing for Fulham. And I think that if he does play, he will give Fulham his best. That's just my opinion. I don't have anything to back that up. No facts on my end, no sources on that. But just because I believe that Mitro wants to give his best and will give his best because of the type of player that I've seen over the years, I don't expect him to dog it, as we would say over here. I expect him to give his best for Fulham Football Club as long as he's a Fulham player. And I hope he is for a long period of time. But interesting article from Peter, and it's honest because you never know what can happen. But right now, he's a Fulham player, as Peter said in his article, for now. And I do hope he is still a Fulham player at the end of the window. Only time will tell. Okay, let's move on to the second story. And this actually comes from a website called GetFootballNewsFrance.com, and it is entitled, Fulham's Tosin Adarabioyo is on the verge of signing for Monaco after rejecting Tottenham move. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this and share my thoughts on this. I am buying the story because it's pretty obvious that Tosin will not be a Fulham player, so he has to go somewhere. He is nowhere involved with the club. He will be moved. I truly believe that before the window closes. I hope it's sooner than later. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this article. AS Monaco on the verge of bolstering their defensive options with the arrival of Fulham center back Tosin Adarabioyo. According to a report this Sunday from Foot Mercado, the 25-year-old would numerically replace Axel Disasi, who signed for Chelsea in a £45 million deal. The Englishman was entering his final contract year with the Cottagers. The French publication understands that Tottenham Hotspur are still trying to hijack Adarabioyo's move to the Principality, and that Fulham haven't signed brokers and agents to materialize his move to North London. However, the Englishman has already agreed to join AS Monaco. Foot Mercado reports that the League One side and their Premier League counterparts are edging ever closer to an agreement. The French publication understands that both the involved parties are confident the move will happen. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there. So, do I buy the story? Absolutely. Do I think Tosin will move? I do think Tosin will move, and I actually think this would be a good move for him going to Monaco. I would be all for this. I think it's in everyone's best interest. I do hope Fulham get a good transfer fee for him. They've invested in Tosin Adarabioyo. So Tosin, unfortunately, has used Fulham as a stepping stone. I think we knew that when he came to Fulham, that his aspirations were higher. That's fine. Time to move on. And by all accounts of what people have watched so far, especially at the match with Calvin Bassey, maybe they have another center back that can slide over, take Tim Ream's role, and then you have Diop taking Tosin's role. So, in fact, I think Diop's the better player. So I'm fine with Tosin moving on. I think it would be best for all parties. I do hope this happens. And I'd be fine with him going to Monaco. I'm not fine with any Fulham player going to Tottenham Hotspur right now. None. I don't want Fulham to allow any players to go to Tottenham Hotspur. I have my personal reasons on that. I just don't want it to happen. So the fact that he would end up in Monaco instead of Tottenham Hotspur would actually make me happy. Okay. Coming up next to end the show, I'm going to share an article from HammyN.com about Damarai Gray, and I'll end with sharing more thoughts on my prediction for the season for Fulham. Okay, to end the show, the final story I'm going to talk about is from HammyN.com. It's from Chloe White, and I am just going to share this with you. The title is Everton Eager to Sell Gray to Fulham, and I'll just read it straight there. Everton are eager to sell Damarai Gray on Fulham in order to raise funds for Sean Dyche in the final weeks of the summer transfer window, according to The Sun on Sunday. The Jamaican international, who's in the final year of his contract, is keen on making the move to Craven Cottage and has not been at Finch Farm the past few days. The Cottages are confident matching the 27-year-old's wage demands, but the sticking point remains the fee for the former Birmingham City and Leicester City winger, with the Toffees previously demanding £10 million. Fulham are unwilling to offer that much for a player that could potentially sign for fee at the end of his contract and have had 2 bids rejected by Everton. Sun correspondent Alan Nixon reports today that Everton want to offload their want-away winger, and the fee will be reinvested in Dyche's playing squad. Negotiations between the two clubs, who play each other in the opening round of Premier League fixtures at Goodison Park on Saturday, are continuing, and all parties are confident of the deal being struck. It is unlikely that the transfer will go through until after Fulham's trip to Merseyside, but Everton have lowered their asking price following discussions over the last week. Okay, so all in there. Very good article from Chloe, citing The Sun with Alan Nixon as the person who actually broke this story, but she did a very good job of breaking down what The Sun had learned about the situation. So am I buying the story? Yes. Am I buying the fact that Everton are holding out for more money? Yeah, of course I am. It's basically haggling back and forth. I do have a feeling this will happen. Unfortunately, I think it's going to happen after the Everton match. I would like him in sooner than later. Fulham need 2 wingers. This would be one of them. If it happens, not the week upcoming, but the following week, okay. But I would rather get the player in sooner than later. That's just my feeling on it. And I think Damarai Gray could really help Fulham Football Club. So I'm all for the move. I think if he plays under Marco Silva, we will see a re-energized Damarai Gray. And the fact that Bobby Decordova-Reid is a teammate of Damarai Gray's for the Jamaican team, that doesn't hurt, right? That doesn't hurt at all. So I'm all for the move for Damarai Gray. Let's hope it happens sooner than later, but it probably is unfortunately going to be a little later. Okay. Now, to end this episode of Cottage Talk, I want to talk a little bit one more time about my prediction for the season, because I've actually put this on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter. Put it on Twitter that I am predicting 7th for Fulham this season. I've not changed my mind. I said this on a show of the Green Poll on Monday. On Tuesday, I actually said it on Cottage Talk. I'm saying it again for a third time. And I've got a decent amount of pushback on my prediction. Several fans have liked the fact that I'm a positive person. They hope I'm right, but they think that I'm probably not going to be right. I think I'm going to be right. I actually think I'm going to be right. I know Fulham are going to bolster. I know Fulham are going to try to get stronger. Even in Marco's presser, he basically mentioned that is the goal here, not to get weaker, but to get stronger, of course. So I think you're going to see very good reinforcements come through the door. I just wish it was sooner. But I'm not changing my mind that Fulham are going to end 7th. I believe it. It's not a stunt. I truly believe that they will do better than last season, because I think the players under Marco that were already there will only get better with a new season under their belt with him. Marco is a very good coach. You're going to add new players to the mix that will enhance the club. I think Fulham are going to surprise a lot of people and end 7th. And that's just, I'm not changing my mind on it. I'm going at it one last time on this show. I might mention, I shouldn't say that. I'll probably mention again and again, but I want to mention it again on Cottage Talk that I believe this. You can disagree with me. That's fine. I understand that most Fulham supporters are disagreeing with me on this, and that's fine too. They're entitled to their opinion. I beat to my own drum on this. I have my own opinions. They may not be the same as you, other people, but I think I'm entitled to my own opinion. And my opinion is Fulham will end 7th and hopefully will be in Europe. That's the way I'm looking at it. I truly believe that. I see the club that they have. I see the manager. I see the flaws. But I think that they are going to invest in the club to get rid of those flaws, and Fulham are going to be a very strong side at the end of this month when the transfer window closes. And I don't think it's too late. I just wish it was sooner than later. So I'm sticking with my prediction of 7th. I think it's going to be a fantastic season for Fulham Football Club. I'm not about doom and gloom. I am about basically looking at the chaos and basically laughing at it and thinking, bring it on. Bring it on. I am all about the chaos because I think that brings a club together. I don't think it's a negative. I actually think it's a positive because this team will continue to back themselves when they hear all this noise. So I am not against the chaos at all. I'm basically saying bring us more because I think that will bring Fulham Football Club closer and closer together. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.